Good morning. My name is Heather. I would like to share a few glimpses of how God has shaped me into who I am in Christ today. I was blessed to grow up in a loving Christian home with wonderful parents, 2 sisters, and have very rarely missed a Sunday church. Unfortunately, from the ages of 3 to 15, I was sexually abused by 3 different people at 3 different times in my life. I was baptized at age 13, and shortly thereafter, Satan attacked. I was abused for the second time and thus began a 6-year downward spiral. I didn't care about myself, whether I lived or died, or anyone else, and made every terrible decision you can think of. When I was 18, I met a group of people who didn't just go to church, they had a relationship with Jesus, and it showed. I wanted that, and I began reading my Bible and praying more. God provided an escape via a job to Georgia, where I met my husband and began a new life. When one of my abusers was dying, I was able to pray that he would accept Christ and be able to spend eternity with Jesus. Being able to forgive someone who had done something so terrible to me is something I only could have done with Jesus by my side, and seeing his example in the Bible of how he forgave and how God forgives us every day. I truly can say I have no bitterness or anger towards my abusers and have forgiven them all. Praying for your enemies truly softens the heart. Fast forward to the mom life. Pregnancy was not easy for me. I had 2 miscarriages, but I'm blessed with 3 beautiful kiddos. All 3 of them were premature. My daughter spent a week in the NICU, and with my middle son, I spent 3 months on complete bed rest. After my 3rd was born, I started working in the TV and film industry. I was leading Bible studies at church, involved in MOPS ministry, and felt that my faith was unshakable. When my youngest was a little over a year old, he started having a lot of health issues and became very sick. We were having to rush him to the hospital on a monthly basis. I had to give up everything that I was involved in. It took 5 long years and a lot of prayers for us to finally find a team of doctors that could figure out what was wrong with him. He had multiple procedures, surgeries, a feeding tube, and much more. He is much better now, but we still have to do infusions every 2 weeks at home for his immune system. Accepting and making peace with chronic illness, unanswered prayers, and watching my child suffer all those years took a toll on my faith. Sadly, I hit rock bottom during one of the hospital stays. I told God I was done and that I couldn't do it anymore. I questioned if my son was going to live and what this was all for. I tried to stop praying and turn my back on God, but he kept telling me he was always with me and that he would never let me go. Random people in my life, some who were strangers, kept sending me the same verse over and over, Psalm 91:4. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckle. I received gifts with that verse that the other people could not have known that they were sending the same verse to me. Another was Luke 12:7, which reads, Indeed, the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, you are far more valuable than many sparrows. Even though I tried to turn away from God, he showed me that he would never let us go. Life has been moving along for the last 10 years, and then this year, 2024 hit. We have had multiple major stressful situations within our family. Just to name a few, my daughter very bravely canceled her wedding and moved back home. I had an unexpected partial hysterectomy in June. My 18-year-old son moved out and back in unexpectedly, and much more. I was becoming very bitter and questioning why God was allowing so much to happen at once. On July 1st, I started having numbness and tingling in my toes, and I could not get into a neurologist for months. It was quickly spreading all the way up to my stomach. I was starting to stutter, and when I walked barefooted, it felt like I was stepping on rocks or stepping in puddles of water when nothing was there. On August 15th, I went to the ER. An MRI revealed that I have lesions all down my spine and on my brain, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I was in the hospital for 3 days getting high doses of steroids and came home with a new disease to learn how to live with and injections I will get for the rest of my life. I immediately knew the day I was diagnosed, I had to let go of all the bitterness and anger I had let creep in. I had to learn once and for all to truly take one day at a time and lay all the stress and burdens at his feet. Just in the past 2 weeks, a high school friend committed suicide. My father-in-law and my best friend's mom passed away. Like Job, I have truly wrestled with God and my faith in the wise and the unanswered prayers. God has once again shown me that I may never get the answers, the healing, or know the purpose of suffering this side of heaven, but the God we serve is good, divine, holy, grace-giving, sovereign, wise, and a trustworthy God. God calls us to trust and worship him even in the face of suffering and unanswered prayers or questions. And I pray that sharing my story today will encourage someone in your daily walk with Jesus. Thank you so much for letting me share.